Welcome those of you who are joining us from that Florida-Alabama game. You didn't miss much. The first 20 seconds, Michigan State has won the tip. This is the first possession of the game. That's a pretty good pass for the first 2 points for the Spartans.
A.J. Hoggard, the freshman point guard, starting his second game in a row, started at Nebraska, and he did a really good job of finding Thomas Kithier off that pick and roll.
Well, Tom Izzo thinks he may have found something with A.J. Hoggard. Well, you said it. This is just his second start, but he's made an impact on this Michigan State team. Point guard has been a tough position for them. The Scarlet Knights offensive rebound from Miles Johnson, but he missed the putback. As soon as I say that, Hoggard, wildly out of control, loses it.
He just wasn't mindful of who was behind him who could knock the ball away.
So down low, Miles Johnson, nice spin move, and then he missed the short one, but he got fouled. Well, what a great job that Steve Pikiell has done, Jay, as the head man in charge of this Rutgers program, having one of their great years really in their recent history. 15th ranked team of the country, 7-2, 3-2 in the Big Ten.
Won 20 games last year, 11 in the Big Ten, and I believe if not for the pandemic would have been in the NCAA tournament. But Steve Pikiell's done really a magnificent job. And he's got some very good upperclassmen that know how to play. They're gritty, they're tough, and they can all score. But this what we're seeing right now is a little bit of an Achilles heel for this Rutgers team. It's not a very good free throw shooting team. Even though they can really shoot the ball from the perimeter, they don't shoot well from the line, shooting only about 60%. That's got to change.
I was going to say Pikiell's done a great job in every respect except for apparently you can't teach free throw shooting. They went 4 of 12 in losing by 2 at home against Iowa over the weekend. A heartbreaking loss. There's the first 3 from Ron Harper Jr. has been making a ton of those.
Yeah, Michigan State really just got lucky there. They had a miscommunication. Harper was as open as he's going to be in this game, just missed it.
Kithier down low, and Michigan State's not looking for a lot of back-to-the-basket offense from him. He turned it over. The Spartans have already turned it over 3 times in the first 2 minutes of this one.
Yeah, that's one thing that Michigan State cannot afford to do, because that's going to give Rutgers some opportunities in transition. They're a very good fast break team, and Geo Baker getting that shot to go on the drive. And Michigan State's got to contain the dribble as well, because this is a good dribble penetration team.
There's a drive and a block by Johnson. He met Josh Langford right at the rim. What a nice defensive play, and then Rutgers gives it right back. Langford this time settles for the mid-range, and it rattles out. Ball tipped by Kithier right to Aaron Henry for the layup.
Boy, what a smart play first by Langford to shot fake and then put up that mid-range jumper, but a really smart play by Kithier to tap that to a teammate.
So Michigan State's got the 4-2 lead. Rutgers, who have been making a lot of threes, they block shots, they get out in transition. Scarlet Knights are good. They throw it away though. Hoggard on the break, one-on-one. Hoggard challenge, scores anyway.
Did a really good job of protecting the ball with his body. He was squared up to the backboard, and that meant that Ron Harper Jr. was going to have to go through that left shoulder and foul to try to get the ball. Really good play by A.J. Hoggard. First the steal and then the finish.
Jacob Young, who's played very well, the transfer from Texas, foul before the shot.
And Ron Harper Jr. is just having a spectacular season. He's making over 3 three-point shots per game, shooting 48% from 3 and averaging 22 points per game and over 7 rebounds. Just terrific footwork. He's a big-time shooter. Has got great body balance, just knows how to play.
You know, it's not like he was a bad player last year. He's been a solid player for Rutgers, but he averaged 12 points a game last season for that good Rutgers team you were talking about. He's up to 22 a game this year.
So opportunistic, especially in transition, looking for threes. And he's got a quick trigger, but takes mostly good shots.
Meanwhile, Michigan State, Aaron Henry turnaround. That one is no good. Spartans got off to a quick start this year. They like their team, but they lost their first 3 Big Ten games, which does not happen very often with a Tom Izzo team. It's a really deep, talented Big Ten this year. Young, through some contact, got some space and scored.
Well, Jacob Young is a really good player and has turned into just a great defender, but he just went right into Foster Loyer, knocked him back, and was able to get that little left-handed shot in.
Well, back and forth they go. 2 quick fast breaks. Rutgers doesn't convert, though, so here comes Michigan State. Langford found Henry wide open for 3.
Just a beautiful pass by Joshua Langford. This is the kind of start Michigan State needed to get off to against a very good Rutgers team.
We're watching the Big Ten on ESPN from the Breslin Center. The Spartans, who have been a power in the Big Ten year after year after year under their head coach Tom Izzo. 26th season in East Lansing. And Jay, even though Tom's team started 0-3 in the Big Ten, he still, I think, believes that his team can be one of the best in this conference.
Well, they are going to be very good and certainly have a chance, but they're searching right now. They're going through some growing pains and having to switch from Rocket Watts, who they tried at point guard early on, and it just hasn't worked out the way they had hoped or the way they expected. But I think with A.J. Hoggard, they've got a natural point guard that has the opportunity to make others better. It's just going to be I think a time where he's going to have to learn the position and his teammates are going to have to learn to trust him. But just the plays he's made early on in this game shows you how good he can be.
Long rebound. Gabe Brown comes up with it. Malik Hall, who came in, makes a spin move against a double team and found Gabe Brown, who was long on the 3. Rutgers out on the fast break. Sloppy ball handling. They lost that out of bounds. That's off the Scarlet Knights.
A.J. Hoggard, the freshman from just outside of Philly, a terrific job on that hard hedge by Miles Johnson. Just spin right off it, and then he found Thomas Kithier, and then alert for the steal on the cross-court pass and protects the ball with his body searches to go find the defense, Ron Harper Jr., and still get that ball to go in off the glass. So a really good start for the freshman in just his second start.
You know, Rocket Watts is still going to be a huge part of this Michigan State team, but he's not really going to play the point. They're going to let him play on the wing, be a scorer, drive to the basket, do the things that he did so well last year as a freshman. That short shot did not go for Sissoko.
Well, Dave, Tom Izzo likes to use, as you know, a lot of football analogies. So he said it was kind of like trying to make a running back into a quarterback. And Rocket Watts is more comfortable as a 2-guard. And so he's coming off the bench now, and he's been great. He hasn't shot the ball particularly well, but his attitude's been fantastic. And I think they're going to figure it out. But it's just been a process, a little bit of a process of searching as Rocket Watts comes into the game right now. He's been struggling from the field over his last 4 games. He's 8 of his last 37, including 3 of 14 from 3. So he's got to be aggressive and find his shot.
Playing defense here against the Scarlet Knights, who are off to a sloppy start offensively. It's been a really good offensive team for Rutgers. Nice block from Sissoko. Out of bounds, or travel rather. I thought Langford's foot might have been out of bounds, but he picked the foot up.
Now, Michigan State has started this game off very well on the defensive end. They've done a good job so far of taking Rutgers out of transition, and they've been very alert not only to take away the 3-point line, but they've done a good job of taking away penetration and keeping Rutgers out of the lane. Because once Rutgers gets in the lane, they're going to be able to kick it out to open shooters.
Paul Mulcahy in for Rutgers. Now a nice little up and under move. That was well done.
Yeah, he got Malik Hall on him. Hall is quick and strong enough to guard him, but just over pursued there on that little pivot. And that allowed Ron Harper to get around. Just a great move by Harper, but you got to stay between him and the basket. See, watch this little pivot he makes, and then he gets Malik Hall just sort of up in the air and is able to pivot right around him to the bucket.
And Ron Harper, not just a 3-point shooter.
But he's got a total game, and he's got really good footwork. A number of these Rutgers players, their footwork is excellent. And I count Miles Johnson in there as well. He's got really good footwork in the post, both offensively and defensively. He can break contact and get around in front. And a guy his size, that's really impressive. But I think Michigan State's got to put him in as many ball screens as they can, try to move him around on the court so he can't protect the rim as easily.
6 Michigan State turnovers. There's Harper, who just went right up over top Hall and hit the long jumper.
Anytime that Ron Harper Jr. has the ball and he looks down at his defender, he's going to shoot it. If he looks down at your feet, he's going up with it.
Watts cut off. Joey Hauser, who's played pretty well his first year on the court for the Spartans. Tom Izzo wants him to be even more involved. What a nice effort play there by, was that Miles Johnson? It was, who saved that ball off the Spartans player.
That's an example of his really good feed, of not just deciding to stay behind, but he's going to break contact and get around in front of Malik Hall here. See how he uses those feet, and he doesn't make too much contact with Hall. He's not reaching over him. He moves his feet to get around, use those long arms, and made a great play to force the turnover.
You know, it's a league with Luka Garza and Kofi Coburn and a lot of good big men. Miles Johnson is one of the best big men in the Big Ten.
He really is. And I thought he did a really good job going head-to-head against Luka Garza in that game. He wound up with 13 points, 10 rebounds, 5 of them on the offensive end, and a couple of steals. And also blocked a shot in that game. And that's a heck of a matchup. Anytime you're going against Luka Garza, you can rack up a ton of fouls. And he did a good job of staying on the floor, which he has to do in this ballgame.
Yeah, Garza had 25, but it wasn't a monster-dominating performance from Luka Garza. I think you're right. Miles Johnson more than held his own in that game. Now he altered that shot, I think. Rebound Rutgers. 2-on-2, whistle and a foul, shooting foul. So Montez Mathis will be at the free throw line when we come back to East Lansing. Early 11-8 Michigan State lead. Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Snow in East Lansing last night on the Magic Johnson statue outside the Breslin Center, where Rutgers is on the road to take on the Spartans. Never a dull moment, Jay, around college hoops. Really in any year, but especially this year, news and notes look a little different than they usually do.
Yeah, they do. And because of the pandemic, the entire NCAA men's basketball tournament is going to be held in and around Indianapolis, Indiana. Highly unusual, but Indianapolis has been a great site for the Final Four over the years. And I'm sure they'll do a great job hosting a very different NCAA tournament at the end of this year.
Well, Rutgers free throw struggles continuing. Montez Mathis out of the timeout, missed both of them. Villanova's had to pause their season again. Coach K, who is in quarantine, is going to miss a game on the sidelines for Duke. I don't know if you saw the pictures. Holy Cross playing in masks tonight against BU. It'd be interesting to see if it probably doesn't matter much, but Indianapolis is a Big Ten town. It's been a couple decades since a Big Ten team has won the national championship. Big Ten's got several contenders, you would think, this year. And if they play games in Bloomington and West Lafayette, in the Dome in Indianapolis, a comfortable setting, I think, for Big Ten teams. A good shot block there. Rutgers in transition, can't score. Hogarth back on the floor for Michigan State, and he found a wide open Langford for three, no good.
Yeah, Michigan State that last time out tried to run something for Joey Hauser because Tom Izzo wants to get him going. But Hauser just wasn't alert to a double team coming from his left shoulder and wound up turning it over.
Yeah, Tom told us, part on us, part on him. He's got to be a little more aggressive. We've got to be more aggressive finding shots for him. Good offensive rebound from Miles Johnson.
Went right over the top of Thomas Kithier. Just wedged him in, and those long arms. He's so strong. What a great rebounder with outstanding hands.
Okay, he tried to split a double team. Eventually got cut off by Hauser and just kind of flung that shot up. Hauser this time being a little more aggressive. Switched to the left hand and scored.
Well, Hauser is such a skilled player, but Kithier did a really nice job of rim running. That sort of cleared a path for Hauser coming down as the trailer. And just a really good controlled fast break by Michigan State.
You know, the kind of things that Thomas Kithier's got to do to help this Michigan State team. He does not have the power. You think of Michigan State big men, even just the last few years, Xavier Tillman or Nick Ward. Different kind of player. Great look from Mulcahy. Johnson got fouled.
After the out of bounds underneath, Hauser got the ball right in the middle of the lane, basically so he could go one-on-one. This is on the break, just a nice pass to him as a trailer, but Kithier really did a nice job of running the floor that helped clear some of that space out. And look at that use of the left hand, kept his eyes on the rim, able to get that to go down. Hauser's so skilled, you know, you can even play small ball 5 with him, move him to the 5 position, but he can step out and shoot a 3. He's an excellent passer and a very good rebounder. Just hasn't played his best over the last several games. He had 27 against Wisconsin, but the last 2 games coming into this one, he was 2 of 12 from the field, including 0 of 7 from 3.
He's going to get a rest on the bench for Michigan State, trying to get those numbers up in conference play. It's going to be a tough year in the Big Ten. I mean, the good teams, the super talented teams are getting tested night in, night out. Meanwhile, Rutgers, I mean, this is a thing. They're 0 for 6 at the free throw line. Their free throw shooting is going from bad to worse.
Yeah, it's deflating. You know, you're working hard to get fouled, and they've had so many good possessions that have ended in a foul, but they're not cashing in, and that cost them against Iowa.
It did cost him the game. Bingham down low, draws a foul on this end against Johnson. Well, coming up on Thursday night on ESPN on the app, we've got Pac-12 hoops for you. 7-2 UCLA going down to Tempe to take on the Sun Devils. Bobby Hurley's team struggled a little bit. Kind of up and down performance for Arizona State so far this year. They're 4-3. 10:30 Eastern Thursday on ESPN.
UCLA suffered a huge blow, losing Chris Smith to an injury for the remainder of the season, but the Bruins still have a lot of really good pieces. Won a game the other night without Smith. That's going to be a fun game because Remy Martin, man, that dude can really play for Arizona State. Quick, fast, and explosive.
Oregon's played well in the Pac-12. UCLA is a contender in that league. Arizona's played pretty well.
Arizona's young, but they're 7-1. They've done a really good job. And you have a team that young, sometimes it's difficult to get the defense down, but they've responded very well.
Shot clock under 10. Ron Harper going to pull up for 3 over Top Hall. Air ball. Shot clock didn't reset. That one is good.
Jacob Young is such a good defender. He's at the top of the Big Ten in steals. And you mentioned he had transferred from Texas, but he can also score. Nobody puts him. Hogarth didn't put a body on him, just able to get that ball, but had the presence of mind to see that the shot clock was going down. And after 29 really good seconds of defense, Michigan State gives up an offensive rebound and a basket, and it was because A.J. Hogarth, the freshman, didn't put a body on Jacob Young.
Aaron Henry's playing well in this first half for Michigan State, coming off a career-high scoring performance against Nebraska. That's great news for the Spartans. It's 16-10. That's the Michigan State lead, and Henry's got 9 of their 16.
Yeah, Henry's been very aggressive, and he's getting his points in a variety of different ways, not just off of jump shots. He's starting to drive the ball more, playing off of 2 feet. And the more he gets to the free throw line, the better this Michigan State team's going to be.
He wanted that rebound, brings it up himself. Hogarth will use a screen. Didn't accomplish a whole lot. Well, he went right by Young, and then Aaron Henry, the ball was tipped. He threw it out of bounds, but it was tipped. So it stays Michigan State basketball. Well, when Aaron Henry showed up as a freshman, he was part of some really talented Michigan State teams, and they asked him basically to be a role player, defensive player, even as a young guy. But his role is different this year. Young behind the back with the move, missed the shot, but the foul is good.
What a tremendous steal by Jacob Young. He was guarding a man in the corner, but knew that there was going to be a little lob that was going up the lane line. And as soon as that pass was let go, it was like a defensive back going after that to tip it away from the receiver and then take it the other way. That was a big-time, smart, anticipatory defensive play by Jacob Young.
That's how you lead the Big Ten in steals. Over the top pass, and Young steals another one. Wow, what a great defensive sequence from Jacob Young, who finds his teammate in transition. Shot blocked by Bingham.
Well, we are seeing some basket-saving plays, and Tom Izzo really telling his young point guard, A.J. Hoggard, he wants him to run the team, to take over. What pass.
With a good wraparound pass to get Bingham to the free throw line. Does that qualify as taking over?
It does, and Bingham did a nice job of getting to the front of the rim. Solid.
Missouri taking on Mississippi State. They're up 10 on the road. North Carolina struggles continue. They're 1-2 in conference. They're down 7 down in Coral Gables right now. That's on ESPN. Let's get back to Dave and Jay.
All right, Dallin and Jordan, thank you very much. Story so far in this game in the Big Ten. Number 15 Rutgers really having an excellent start to their year on the road against the 23rd ranked Spartans. Rutgers not shooting the ball particularly well and really struggling from the free throw line, still down just 4. Out of the timeout, Marcus Bingham is at the free throw line, the junior from Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Marcus Bingham can be an important piece for this team coming in off the bench. If he runs the floor, defends, because he can block shots, he can switch out, he can really bother a lot of shots as well. But if he runs the floor, defends, and rebounds, he can be a big piece coming off the bench.
You know, sometimes you almost feel, I mean, they are so deep with interchangeable parts, guys who have similar skill sets. Sometimes you almost feel like maybe too deep. They have so many options on that bench.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think most teams, in Michigan State will be one of them, I believe. They're going to shorten their bench and their rotation as they go forward. What a great play by Aaron Henry to block that shot.
And then Rocket Watts couldn't finish. Hoggard had his shot rejected, so Rutgers found a way to get back on defense and prevent the layup 2 different times. Young had it stripped away by Henry again. Man, Henry and Young are playing on the defensive end as well as they've been playing offensively. Better.
Well, he's so alert. Blocks a shot, then goes after the ball. He wound up stopping the ball in transition, but got turned around and still is able to recover with that athleticism and understanding of the game. He can be a lockdown defender. The lefty is just so versatile at both ends of the floor. Yeah, Dave, on the offensive end of the floor for Michigan State, they've got to run their plays to completion. They can't be breaking those things off. They're not that type of team. Their plays are designed to get them reads and multiple options off of reversals, and they need to run their plays to completion.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Harper gets the inbound pass. Under 20 now to shoot for Rutgers. Paul Mulcahy, the sophomore big recruit from the state of New Jersey, had his shot blocked.
Well, that was a good defensive possession, and Rocket Watts especially, he did a really good job on Jacob Young on all the different cuts he made. And that was probably not the best drive for Rocket to take it into traffic, got away with it, but defensively on the other end, that was a really good possession.
I mean, you can tell Rocket Watts, talented offensive player. He's a guy who's struggling with his confidence on this end of the floor right now. You don't even have to go back to last year where he had some monster games for Michigan State. I mean, even this year at Duke, the win that Michigan State had there, he played really well.
Yeah, 20 in that one.
Doesn't look like that kind of confident player. Henry over the top 3, no good. Kithier knocked it out of bounds.
But that was the shot that Michigan State wanted, and a good shot, and they had the chance to rebound that. You know, they ran that play more to completion and went from side to side and really gave the Rutgers defense a chance to make a mistake.
Kithier working hard to deny Johnson a touchdown low. Jacob Young on a behind the back dribble. Instead of shooting it, he kicked it out to Mulcahy, who just has nowhere to go with Henry draped all over him.
Henry was just so good defensively, just stayed down, didn't go for any fakes.
That shot never hit the rim, so that's a shot clock violation and a Rutgers turnover.
Well, give a ton of credit there to Aaron Henry for the defensive job that he did. They were in a little 1-4 set. They wound up reversing it. When they got it back to the right side, Henry just dominated the possession.
So Steve Pikiell calls a timeout. And we'll take a timeout with the Scarlet Knights, 18-12. That's the Michigan State first half lead.
I spent 9 years in and out of the prison system. Companies didn't want to take a chance on someone with a history like mine. But within 3 to 4 days of searching on Indeed, I was offered a job. They gave me an opportunity to make something of myself.
Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Shareholders are very happy.
Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Aaron Henry, Jay's having a heck of a first half.
Well, he's got 9 points, 3 of 6 from the field. He's grabbed a few rebounds, but he's done it in different ways. He's gotten to the bucket both in transition and in the half court, and then spotting up. His shot preparation on this cross-court pass in transition was excellent. And he's made so many good defensive plays. Not only that blocked shot, but staying in front of his man. That defense he played the last possession on Mulcahy.
A tough shot by Rocket Watts.
You know, Michigan State has perhaps not played its best on the offensive end in this one, but the Spartans defense has been stifling. I mean, they're holding Rutgers to under 25% from the field thus far in the game. That's impressive.
Rutgers is 6 for 25 shooting. They haven't made a three. They've missed some chances at the free throw line. They're 0 of 6 there. That was a good move for a much needed bucket.
But to your point, it was a challenge 2 without fouling instead of giving them a 3. And Michigan State has really stuck to the game plan to take away the three-point line from the Scarlet Knights. And what a great drive and pivot, and going to the right hand for the lefty Aaron Henry, who's just been spectacular in this ballgame.
Yeah, that's an offhand shot with one of the best shot blockers really in the country in his face. Harper's got 6 of Rutgers' 14. Young has been the other primary option on offense. He goes right by the defense, missed the lay-in. Foster Lawyer playing about 15 minutes a game, somewhere in that neighborhood for Michigan State.
But Michigan State putting Miles Johnson in a ton of ball screens just to move him all over the floor, and they're going to try to wear him out.
Young with Lawyer right in his face, laid it in.
And that's how Rutgers can get back. I mean, they're in the ball game. They're a couple possessions down. They haven't played anywhere near their best, but transition and getting turnovers for touchdowns like this. Tom Izzo's going to be livid about that one.
He will not be happy. Now, that's what Jacob Young does. Even through the mask, Tom Izzo can't hide the emotions. Aaron Henry has just been terrific on both ends for Michigan State. Offensively and defensively, Spartans have the first half lead. It's been ugly. Jacob Young's defense has been anything but for Rutgers. So his former team, Texas, playing great, and his current team back in this game down just 4. Under 4 minutes to go first half. Almost another steal for the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, that was Miles Johnson getting his arm in there, the long arms of the law there. Just Rutgers is starting to ratchet up its defense. And one thing, when you're not playing well, make the other team play worse.
Good theory so far in this first half. Henry tried to draw contact and give the Rutgers defensive player Miles Johnson, the big man, credit there for not running right into him.
And another turnover for Michigan State. That's 13 turnovers now in the first half for Michigan State. They've been doing a pretty good job with the ball in their first 4 Big Ten games, but this has not been a good half for ball security for Michigan State.
And Rutgers gets some of the credit for that, but you're right, a huge problem right now for the Spartans.
Yeah, you give Rutgers a ton of credit for it. But, you know, if you're Michigan State, I mean, I think if you look at it from the offensive standpoint, you got to be stronger with the ball. I mean, I don't care if you're playing the Lakers. You know, you can't cough the ball up 13 times and a half and expect to win.
It was a good hustle play by Caleb McConnell. It was a good story. They thought he was going to miss the whole year. His back has gotten better, and because you don't have to burn a year of eligibility, he decided, I'm going to play this year. Mulcahy for 3, no good.
Yeah, McConnell's a good cutter. He can play 4 different spots. He's tough-minded.
And Josh Langford, he has had some wide open looks. Mulcahy runs the floor and finishes with the left hand plus a foul.
What a beautiful fast break. And it was all started by Miles Johnson and a spectacular outlet pass. You know, he grabbed the rebound, and as soon as he hit the floor, that ball was gone. And Geo Baker with a terrific bounce pass to Mulcahy, who was running the floor hard. And you know, Montez Mathis is probably the Scarlet Knight that I think runs the floor the best, but I would put Mulcahy right behind him.
That's just a beautiful fast break. All right, free throw line. Rutgers 0 for 6 so far at the line. See if they can get one to go. Mulcahy might be their best free throw shooter. Good Lord.
Does that count as the announcer jinx? I'm not a big believer in that, but
absolutely does not. When your team is 0 for 7,
they'd have a pretty solid lead right here if they'd be knocking free throws down.
I mean, it's starting to become not just a problem, but a huge problem. Another Michigan State turnover. Rutgers steal. McConnell, great pass, and then the layup wouldn't go.
Aaron Henry on the other end trying to thread a needle with a bounce pass down the pipe right under the basket. And it's just not going to get through there. Rutgers is too good of a defensive team to expect that kind of pass is going to make it through.
I think that's exactly what Tom Izzo was telling Aaron Henry, who has been the best Michigan State player in this first half. Malik Hall behind the back dribble. Hall contested, tough shot.
Excellent finish. I think Malik Hall's got a chance to really step forward and take over the 4 position, at least be such a valuable sub because he can do so many different things. Only playing about 20 minutes a game, but really productive in those 20.
Quick shot in transition. Gabe Brown hits the 3 after the shot block on the other end.
Yeah, give Hogard credit for finding Gabe Brown, who did a great job of spotting up.
Under a minute to go first half. Spartans now back up by 7. The drive, contested shot, and back to the free throw line for the Scarlet Knights. Monty Sissoko committed the foul. Well, this week, it's quite a week. Clippers, Warriors highlight our ESPN NBA doubleheaders on Wednesday and Friday. Then we got the NFL wild card game, the Ravens and the Titans, Sunday 1 Eastern on ABC and ESPN. And then, of course, on Monday, 8 Eastern on ESPN and lots of other platforms, the College Football Playoff National Championship game, Alabama and Ohio State. And maybe by, plugging what's coming up all week long on ESPN, we missed a big story. A free throw went down. Caleb McConnell, thank goodness he got healthy and got back on the team. Made them both. There goes Hogard down the lane, had his shot blocked, but he'll go to the line.
Boy, really good, strong play by A.J. Hogard. You know, Rutgers was trying to ice that ball screen, send it, keep it on the left side, but he just snaked right through those Rutgers defenders and got into the middle lane. He's so strong, Philly strong, but he uses his leverage, and I think as he becomes a better defender, he's got the ability to be a very good defender, but he's certainly, like most freshmen, got some things to learn defensively. But as he improves, he's got a lot of game and the ability to run a team.
Well, what did Tom Izzo tell us? He's almost got that Denzel Valentine feel, basketball IQ. Denzel Valentine, a great Michigan State player, could do a little bit of everything.
But when Denzel Valentine first got to Michigan State, I remember Izzo saying he may be the best passer that Michigan State's had since Magic Johnson, and he was right on in that one. I mean, Denzel Valentine, when somebody calls you a poor man's Denzel Valentine, you're probably going to be a rich man someday.
Little difference between game clock and shot clock. Jacob Young, that was not a great pass. Ron Harper did manage to save it. Shot clock down to 3. Long three is short, way short.
And Michigan State's going to have plenty of time to get a decent shot up here. You can catch this ball. If Rocket Watts can catch this ball on the run, he can get it all the way down to the middle of the key.
That's exactly what he did. His runner is no good. So the teams will go to the locker rooms. Good try, but no good. And a lot of missed shots as both teams sort of made it ugly. Aaron Henry had a good first half for the Spartans, who lead by 6. Dallin Cuff, Jordan Cornette in studio. Well, it wasn't the prettiest first half we've ever seen, but it was sort of classic Big Ten hoops. Number 15 Rutgers on the road down 6 against the 23rd ranked Spartans of Michigan State. Dave Fleming, Jay Billis back with you. And Jay, look, Michigan State actually did a lot of things really well in that first half. One thing they did particularly poorly, though.
Yeah, they didn't take care of the ball, and you give Rutgers a lot of credit. Rutgers had 11 steals. Michigan State 14 turnovers in that first half. But to your point, Michigan State, if you listed out everything on their scouting report they wanted to do, they did it all, except that one thing. They guarded the three-point line. They kept, for the most part, Rutgers out of transition. And they did a really good job of moving the ball. I mean, they had 8 assists on their 10 field goals. But Michigan State turned the ball over 14 times. But Aaron Henry was very good early on, spotting up for this 3 in transition at his feet ready, and then the drive going off 2 feet and playing under control and getting that little shot to go with the right hand. But then the turnovers start. Foster Lawyer, an ill-advised pass, and then a great defender, Jacob Young, taking it the other way. And Miles Johnson with just a fabulous outlet pass off the rebound. Ultimately gets to Paul McCahey, who put that in. And Rutgers having its worst first half, I think, of the year, in just 2 possessions down on the road in a difficult place to play. Fans are not.
Hauser right away misses the 3. Aaron Henry, there he is for an offensive rebound for Michigan State. So the Spartans get a second chance at it. You see the numbers, many of which Jay was talking about. Not pretty for the Scarlet Knights on the offensive end. Hauser couldn't get that one to go. Another opportunity for Hauser. This time he finishes.
Well, a tough, gritty basket for Joey Hauser, and you knew that Tom Izzo was going to go right to Hauser to start the second half and run something for him to see if he can get him started. You can't have Joey Hauser only having 2 points and a half and 1 field goal attempt.
Harper picked up his dribble. Montez Mathis. That's the first 3 for the Scarlet Knights.
And not surprising, it went to Montez Mathis, who has been maybe the hottest player for Rutgers over the last few games. I mean, he's 9 of his last 13 from 3 before he hit that one.
He's in the top 10 in the Big Ten in scoring. Montez Mathis coming into this game. Henry blows right by for the finish.
Well, Aaron Henry's just a different player over his last 3 or 4 games. He's had a good year, period. But he's been really aggressive and in the best possible way, especially when the way he played at Nebraska with that 27 points.
The game that Michigan State had to have, that was their first Big Ten win. Johnson kind of lowered the shoulder there, but he will draw the foul against Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State got caught in a switch. Hogard wound up on Miles Johnson. That's a mismatch. Johnson went right into his chest and just knocked him back. But just a little bit of a defensive mistake by Jacob Young. Got caught on the high side there and took an unnecessary reach, and that opened up that driving lane. Everybody lifted up, so there's no weak side help for Rutgers.
Well, Miles Johnson, some of the free throw troubles on Saturday for Rutgers were just Miles was the guy shooting a lot of them, and he's not a great free throw shooter. He's 0 for 5 in this game. Rutgers is 2 for 10 as a team.
And the one good thing for Johnson, he's not hitting his free throws, but it hasn't stopped him being aggressive. And that's one of the things you worry about when you're a struggling free throw shooter, is sometimes you'll try not to get fouled. And that hasn't been the case for Miles Johnson. What a terrific young man he is. Electrical engineering major, one of the smartest players in the country, and boy, is he a good player.
super defensive player. He and Rutgers, though, down by 9 now. This is the biggest lead of the game for Michigan State.
Well, the most impressive thing for Michigan State has been their defense. In 5-on-5 situations, Rutgers has found it very difficult to find good shots. And Michigan State, what they've really done is basically shrink the court. So they're taking away driving opportunities, trying to pack things in, but at the same time get out in their scouting report to the best three-point shooters and make sure they're not getting open looks.
Geo Baker, amazing Rutgers. Geo Baker, I think everybody thought he's their best player coming into this year. That's a steal. Henry takes it away again. One-on-one, Aaron Henry in transition draws the foul. Man, is he playing well.
When he gets down in a stance, Dave, he can get so low and so wide. He's difficult to get around. And then he's been anticipating so well. Look, just putting his hands out there, taking it away from Montez Mathis. And, Mathis just having to foul, probably a smart foul to get Aaron Henry before he could go up for a shot there. They're going to take a look and see if that was flagrant. I don't think it was at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
But it looked kind of odd when it was going. Well, he did put his left arm around him, so not necessarily making a play on the ball. We saw the other angle. So if the referees see that angle, and they don't often see every angle, or don't always see every angle, I should say, because they have a different system than we do. But that left arm, that could be the difference right there. That could make it a flagrant. I don't think it should be, but it could.
So they're taking a look.
Well, the way Izzo's talking, it doesn't look like it's going to go. It's going to go the flagrant route.
Does not. Larry Serrato has heard that before from Tom Izzo.
One of my favorite lines, and Izzo, both he and Steve Peichel are such great guys, but Izzo had said, I think it was before the Duke game, talking about wearing his mask. He says it's great because my mom can't see what I'm saying to the referees.
Tom, who we talked to him today before the game, and since that Duke game where Michigan State, they were undefeated. They win at Cameron, played so well. It hasn't been easy for the Spartans, but Tom's still really optimistic about this team. He believes that they have a lot of room to grow.
Well, I think he should be optimistic. It's an excellent passing team. I think they've got potential, and you're seeing it in this game, to be an excellent defensive team. An excellent defensive team. The one thing that they don't have, they haven't been stable at the point guard position, but A.J. Hoggard could change that going forward. And they don't have what I would call a go-to guy. When they need a bucket, they can't just put it into one guy's hands and let him go get that bucket. So it's a little bit of a different team. It's going to be a collective responsibility on the offensive end. That's why my point earlier about having to run their plays to completion rather than break them off. I'm not sure they're the type of team that can go one-on-one.
Jacob Young came up way short. I think he was sort of caught in between there. He airballed it. It goes off of a Spartan. So Rutgers keeps the ball down 9 with still a long time left in this game. 17 minutes still to go. Kithier, what a great steal on the inbounds pass. Hoggard to Langford, who elevates up and draws the foul.
Kithier doing a nice job of jumping in front. Just a poor pass by Rutgers, but you got to give Kithier credit. And a little bit of turnabout here where Michigan State has taken some miscues by Rutgers and taken him the other way for something easy.
So Langford, who's just 1 of 6 shooting in this game, knocks down the first of 2 free throws. Another reminder, they're coming up on Thursday on ESPN and the app Pac-12 basketball. UCLA on the road to take on Arizona State, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on ESPN. It'll stream live on the ESPN app. Both free throws good for the Spartans.
And Joshua Langford's one of those players you really root for because of all the things he's been through. You're not going to find a better young man in basketball. And it's been, coming into this year, it was well over a year since he played, probably a year and a half with all the injuries that he had.
Yeah, the foot was a problem, and it wasn't healing right, and Joshua Langford still probably not back to 100% athletically or sort of game flow rhythm, but he's out on the court. He's playing a lot of minutes.
He's a very good defender. He's done a really good job on Geo Baker. Just had a little switch there. Baker's got to get going in this one.
It's funny, Geo Baker just hasn't been going at all this year. Geo Baker coming in was a preseason all Big Ten player, had a great year last year, and he's not been healthy. He's had an ankle problem, so I think that's been a big reason why. But here's Rutgers having this great season, and Geo Baker's just not quite played up to his standard.
Yeah, he did have that high ankle sprain where I think he missed 5 games, but the last 2, he's been really good. I mean, he had 13 points, 5 assists, a couple of steals against Iowa. In the last 2 games, he's averaging 16. He's got that great step back move, and he's a player. And he and Steve Peichel have really kind of together helped build this program back to being a contender. And how exciting is that for Rutgers fans that probably haven't seen a team that's this good since the 70s, maybe.
1976, 44 years ago, Rutgers went to the Final Four. There's Geo Baker. The long 3 is much too strong.
Yeah, 76, when Indiana went undefeated, people forget, but Rutgers was undefeated going into that Final Four as well.
They lost to Michigan, didn't they? And I guess Indiana beat UCLA.
That's exactly right.
Little Rutgers hoops history. Rutgers this year, one of the best teams they've had in a long, long time, but they're down on the road to the Spartans.
5. Thanks about Chris Likes. Dave, Jay, back to you.
Allen and Jordan agonizing over that finish. Good win for Carolina. They needed it. Good one for Clemson tonight in the ACC. Clemson's a good team. That short shot doesn't go. Rutgers having just an awful time putting the ball in the basket.
Well, they run good stuff. That was a little back screen to get Ron Harper Jr. in the low post, then screen for the screener action. But Michigan State's doing a good job of staying between their man and the bucket and making Rutgers try to score over. Good pitch back.
The turnover in transition. Yeah, that was beautiful, and Harper makes him pay.
Rutgers loves to do that in transition. They'll drive to just inside the three-point line, then pivot and pitch it back. And that's really hard to defend. Michigan State's taken it away throughout the game, but that was really well done.
Tom Izzo mentioned how he couldn't remember a team that did that as often and as well as this Rutgers team does.
You know who used to do that is the old Soviet Union team. A guy named Remus Kurtenitis used to get those. They ran a lot of stuff against the grain to the three-point line. You see Rutgers bringing it down. Geo Baker just like pivots and almost posts up and pitches it right back to Ron Harper Jr. And then Hogarth just couldn't get out there in time to really bother that shot.
I mean, it's a cool little move. It's hard to defend.
Yeah, you're not expecting it. You know, you're trying to guard the penetration, and it's just it's a design thing in transition. There's nothing random about that.
Shot clock winding down. Hogarth down the lane, had his shot blocked. Ball's loose. Hauser trying to rip it away. Shot clock goes off.
When Hogarth had Joey Hauser to his right, if he just would have dropped that off. But I think he's used to when he takes that in there. In high school, he could take that in and score every time with his strength and athleticism. But in this game, he needs to give that one up.
I mean, look at that number. 17 turnovers for Michigan State with still 14 minutes to play.
That's remarkable. They have a lead. But their defense has been so good. You know, now Rutgers hasn't played its best, clearly. But Michigan State has really stuck to the game plan defensively.
Okay, he just took his time and took Hogarth all the way to the rim.
Well, I really like Paul Mulcahy. Versatile, tough, handles it well. He can pass. Just makes winning plays out there.
Henry from the baseline. That one goes down.
Michigan State is such a good jump shooting team. And that was a good shot. You don't want to, if you're Michigan State, you don't want to settle for jump shots, though. You want to make sure you're continuing to put pressure on the rim.
No good for Mulcahy. Henry for three. Yes, another one for Aaron Henry. Timeout Rutgers, Michigan State. Right there, Aaron Henry, he's got 18 in this game, leading 41-30.
18 points coming off a 27-point effort at Nebraska, where he went 10 of 16 from the field. In this one, Aaron Henry 7 of 11, just establishing himself. I talked about earlier that who's Michigan State's go-to guy. Aaron Henry is raising his right hand or his left hand, because he's a lefty, saying, "It's me."
I mean, he just is. This has to be one of the best games of his Michigan State career. He's had a lot of good games. He got 3 blocks, 2 steals, doing it all on the defensive end. Harper with Malik Hall on him.
Boy, what a switch by Hall. Stopped the penetration, then got out on a closeout to Mulcahy and forced the incredibly difficult shot. Really good defense by Malik Hall.
Meanwhile, Michigan State quickly to this end, and Gabe Brown will go to the free throw line.
Well, I know Tom Izzo is going to walk into the film room, and there's going to be a lot that he can point out on turnovers, and we need to do a better job here, all that. He has got no complaint about the effort on the defensive end. This has been a stellar defensive effort by the men in green. And Malik Hall there doing a terrific job of staying between Ron Harper Jr. and the basket, of angling out that drive. And then as soon as that pass was made to Mulcahy in the corner, he switched out and took away that shot and really made the drive difficult. That was an excellent job defensively by Hall.
Gabe Brown missed the first, made the second, so it's a 12-point Michigan State lead with just over 12 minutes to go. Rutgers free throw shooting, still, they've made just 2 of 11 at the line after free throw shooting might have cost them this weekend against Iowa. There's Geo Baker, knocks down the 3.
Just a simple little 1-4 set. That was just an Iverson cut over the top, and Baker was he ready to shoot it when he caught that. You just have to trail him over the top and not allow that shot. That was way too easy. But well run by Rutgers.
Watts gave it up to Brown. Kind of hung up there with nowhere to go. Miles Johnson back in the game. There's another one of those Miles Johnson outlet passes. Finds Young, who missed it.
Yeah, it's been that kind of night for Rutgers. Jacob Young got some things going in the first half, largely off of his defense. But Ron Harper Jr. has been able to get on track. Montez Mathis has not had the kind of games he's had over the last several. It's just been difficult to find any kind of points that haven't been generated off of the defense of Rutgers. Their half-court offense has just not been efficient.
Meanwhile, that was just classic Rocket Watts. Even that, though, not going to make the Hall of Famer 100% happy. Tom rarely is. His team, though, is up by 11.
The Michigan State defense, which from the opening tap has been so stingy, getting the steal, A.J. Hoggard taking it the other way. Michigan State has blocked 7 Rutgers shots in this game, and every time you show the ball, Michigan State's taking it away. And then Malik Hall doing the great job defending Ron Harper Jr., then switching out to Paul Mulcahy in the corner. Just excellent defense by Malik Hall, and overall outstanding defense by the Michigan State team whenever they've been in half-court situations.
And look, it has been an issue in conference play. I mean, it's just 4 Big Ten games, but they've been giving up 80 points a game so far in the Big Ten. Team shooting 50% against Michigan. It just looks like a totally different team tonight.
Yeah, it has been a totally different team, and you couldn't help but laugh a little bit when we were talking to Tom Izzo, and he says, "Hey, we're giving up 50% from the field in Big Ten play. That's un-American."
There's nobody more fun to talk to, really, in college hoops, who can be brutally honest about his own team, but supportive at the same time. Somehow he strikes that balance. Offensive rebound. No, a push-off. They're going to call Miles Johnson for pushing off.
Yeah, Kithier had a block out, and Johnson just pushed him underneath with that left arm. So even getting an offensive rebound has been incredibly difficult.
Rutgers going to try to put some pressure on here.
But, you know, you're probably not going to have too many nights like this, but you're going to have nights in this league. The Big Ten is such a good league. You're going to have nights when you play really well and lose. And so one of the things in this league, you'd better have a short memory and be ready to move on.
And sometimes maybe you can steal a game when you don't play particularly well. I mean, I liked your comment earlier. They blew a whistle and called a foul with 1 on the shot clock. The Big Ten is just so rugged right now. Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Rutgers, Minnesota's played really well. Richard Pitino's team is 10-2 in the top 20. But sometimes you could be playing ugly, was the point you were making in the first half, but you can make the other team play even uglier and steal a game.
That's exactly right. You know, if you're not playing well, you better make the other team play worse. And I think Michigan is one of the real undervalued teams, not only in this league, but nationally. I mean, heck, they're 9-0, but Hunter Dickinson, the freshman, he's been a revelation. I mean, that dude can play, man. He's averaging about 17 a game. And he's leading the Big Ten in field goal percentage, over 70% from the field. But there's so many talented scorers in this league. I mean, I think Luka Garza is going to be National Player of the Year. I think it's his award. But Marcus Carr of Minnesota is a big-time scorer. We haven't seen the best of Ron Harper Jr. in this game, but Ayo Dosunmu is a big-time scorer at Illinois. I mean, every time you turn around, you're looking at a player that's averaging over 20 points a game, that's going to be in line for All-American. Like, if you're first team All Big Ten, I think you're going to be knocking on the door of first team All-America this year. I think that's how good and talented the league is up at the top.
A Michigan team you're talking about. Next week, our Super Tuesday Big Ten matchup is Wisconsin and Michigan. I mean, you're going to have top 10, top 15 kind of matchups every week in this conference. Young's runner too strong. That shot blocked, but a foul against the Scarlet Knights.
Wisconsin's got like 4 guys that have had their driver's licenses for 8 years. It's amazing how old those guys are. I mean, I joked, but I don't think I'm far off. I was joking when I was doing their Louisville game that their starting lineup's older than the Milwaukee Bucks. And then the Big Ten Network looked into it, and they're older than the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, you
Wisconsin's
just had the
starting lineup is older than the Chicago Bulls. How about
amazing.
that?
Absolutely amazing. Well, Thursday, the 30th annual Home Depot College Football Awards Show, 90-minute virtual special this year. Reese Davis is going to host. Holly Rowe will be there alongside Reese, 7 Eastern on ESPN and the app. That's on Thursday. I mean, Dimitri Trice, who's got great family history with this Michigan State program. I think he's 24 years old. He's been at Wisconsin for a long time. So is everybody on that team.
Yeah, really good team. They're like I've likened them to a bunch of European pros, former European pros that go to the Y at lunch and then just kick your tail. And Brad Davison's the guy that's taking away the entry pass. I mean, you're just trying to get a run in. He won't let the ball come in on the wing.
Yeah, dude, it's lunch. Can you let me enter the ball to my pal? The Rutgers needed that one. Michigan State starting to pull ahead in this game. Still 9:30 to go. Aaron Henry, good look for Gabe Brown, who's wide open. Missed that 3.
Good communication there between Aaron Henry and Thomas Kithier. Kithier allowed him to go under, just pressed up on Miles Johnson.
And Henry almost got another steal. He ends up fouling Jacob Young, who go to the free throw line. They actually called the foul against Kithier.
Jacob Young is kind of amazing. You know, that hard fall he took against Ohio State. I mean, you watch that game, you're going, God, I hope that he's able to play again. And not only did he come back, you know, the next game, but I mean, he played big minutes and played really well against Iowa. He had 17 points, 3 steals against the Hawkeyes in a game that Rutgers very easily could have won. I mean, actually, Young had the last shot in that game. It was a very difficult one just inside a half court.
How is Rutgers? He makes that one. And how are they going to snap out? They're 3 for 13 at the free throw line as a team.
Yeah, part of that's getting the right guys fouled, but the problem is, guys like Ron Harper Jr. I mean, Ron Harper Jr. is shooting almost as well from three-point range as he is from the free throw line, and that's a head scratcher. I mean, Montez Mathis isn't shooting very well from the line, and when you get your big guys, they're shooting under 50%. Those guys are going to get fouled a fair amount, and they're just going to have to be better.
Watts got cut off. Hauser a little pass fake to clear an opening, and he knocks down the three.
Boy, that's just beautiful. That little pass fake froze the defender and gave him that extra time to knock that shot down. Able to freeze the defender without even making a dribble. That's just really well done by Joey Hauser.
He's got 7. You can see why Michigan State wants to get him some more shots. He's taken 6 shots from the field in this game. Paul continues to harass Harper. He lobbed one up for Johnson, who couldn't flush home the dunk.
That's when you know it's one of those days. But Hauser just off the little screen and then pops back out. And watch that little pass. He just froze Geo Baker, and Baker tries to jump out in the passing lane. Then he knocks that shot down. That was just really well done. That's good basketball and a smart play by Joey Hauser.
A.J. Hogarth sure enjoyed it. Harper draws contact. That's another whistle against Michigan State.
Just a miscommunication there by Miles Johnson and Ron Harper. Johnson was supposed to set the screen. He wound up popping out. Still, the play worked out. But that's the kind of night it's been for Rutgers. Just even running their out-of-bounds stuff, just a little bit out of sync. And, they haven't been able to establish any rhythm. And you got to give credit to Michigan State because their defense has just been that good throughout the course of the game.
Both teams in the bonus now. I'm not sure Rutgers is going to call being at the free throw line any sort of bonus right at the moment. Oh, Ron Harper hits one.
Well, Harper has a lot of game. His footwork is excellent, and he's long-armed. He's got about a 7-foot wingspan, but he can rebound. He's a difficult matchup. There are a lot of teams in the league that, who do you put on him? Do you put on your four-man on him? Because he can take a bigger guy out on the perimeter. Or if you're going to put a smaller guy on him, he can take him down into the post and bully him.
He made a point earlier, Jay, about Geo Baker, and I think it applies to Ron Harper, Miles Johnson. I mean, these are kids who signed on to this Rutgers program when times were not good. And they deserve a lot of credit. Now Rutgers is recruiting at a much higher level. The high school talent coming to play for Steve Peichel is at a whole different level. But Geo Baker, especially Ron Harper, Miles Johnson, they sort of laid the foundation for this program to have this resurgence.
Yeah, a bunch of gritty, tough winners. And they've had a we first mentality. It hadn't been about them. They're not worried about their own stats. They're just worried about winning. And they've built, I think, a great culture at Rutgers.
That will be a block and a turnover. Good defense for the Scarlet Knights. Still have time to try to get back in this game. Need some shots to go down with 7:45 to go.
They're going to run off election. Back to you guys.
All right, so some wild swings in college hoops around the country. Maybe enough time still for Rutgers against Michigan State and East Lansing. Ron Harper, tough shot off the glass. That was good defense and better offense.
Yeah, he's got game. He can post. We talked about him stepping away, his three-point game. You're not going to hold him down forever. Ron Harper Jr. is a terrific offensive player.
Lead is 11. Hauser's been a little more aggressive, it seems, these last few minutes. Johnson came over and cut him off, though. Here's Rocket Watts. Drive into the bucket. Goes back to that right hand. He loves to do that. Not this time.
The problem is that takes him away. Took him under the basket. Michigan State able to get back and stop transition.
Baker did everything but go down.
I mean, Rutgers just needs a stop and a score. You get it under 10 here with 5-6 minutes to go, and there's a lot more game pressure on Michigan State down the stretch. There's a long way to go in this one.
Aaron Henry, no. All right, so there's a stop. Johnson just got leveled by Malik Hall, which, good news, bad news, foul against Michigan State. Miles Johnson, who is so struggling at the free throw line right now, is headed that way.
And I'm not sure what Hall was just trying to skinny up to let his teammate, I think, go under on that action. But boy, he was so aggressive, just took Johnson right down to the floor. But that's a good point that he's putting a non-free throw shooter at the line, so it's not necessarily that bad of a thing.
Was he 1 for 10 at the line these last 2 games, 0 for 6 tonight? That one way short.
I'm not sure there's a team in the country that works on free throw blockouts more than Michigan State does. They actually do it, as part of their shoot-around scouting report. They work on free throw blockouts.
Tonight they've put that to good use. That was a good move by Langford.
Both he and Aaron Henry have been more aggressive putting the ball on the deck, which they need to be. I mean, Langford is an excellent mid-range jump shooter, but if he's more aggressive getting to the free throw line, that just helps the Michigan State offense.
And Young missed another layup right at the rim.
And you can see the frustration on the part of Rutgers that it just takes the wind out of you. They're right within striking distance. They get a couple shots to go, and maybe the tenor of this game changes, but they haven't been able to do it.
Langford elevates, hits a 3.
It doesn't look like he's had any injury issues at all. He's starting to look like the old Joshua Langford. He's a terrific 3-and-D guy. He can shoot it, and he's really a good defender, great team guy.
Before he got hurt, missed almost 2 years. He was one of the best all-around players in the Big Ten. Well, there's another one for Rutgers. He really was.
Just that last possession, another opportunity for Rutgers to get a score. Great pivot, and Ron Harper Jr. just couldn't get the layup to go down. And smart move by Michigan State to pull it out and use some clock.
Aaron Henry right to that elbow area with the soft touch. Aaron Henry's got 20 now.
He's got the mid-range game. He's defending. He's driving it. He's knocking down threes. He's really played. He's rebounding. Aaron Henry has played every facet of the game in this one. Every facet.
Rutgers had the ball a couple minutes ago, down 11 with the ball, chance to cut it to single digits. Now they're down 18. Young, short.
And how about that defense by Malik Hall to switch out? Well, he's given some really solid minutes in this ball game. Malik Hall, his defense has been outstanding. Who would have thought that Michigan State would hold Rutgers to 40 with 3 minutes to go?
No kidding. And Malik Hall with the finish plus a foul. Michigan State, what a couple minutes for the Spartans. Josh Langford attacking the basket. Langford has come to life in this second half. Aaron Henry, as Jay said, has just played a terrific all-around game. And the sophomore Malik Hall, who's been working so hard on the defensive end, gets rewarded on that end with the dunk and a foul. He'll have a chance for a three-point play when we come back. A huge part of the experience. You got to give all these players, coaches credit for trying to keep focus, energy, enthusiasm in a totally different environment. Michigan State has played so hard tonight with a 20-point lead against the 15th-ranked Scarlet Knights of Rutgers.
Everything in Michigan State's game plan, the Spartans have executed very well. I mean, they've kept Rutgers out of transition for the most part. They've stopped, except for that one, they've stopped that pitchback action they use. They've defended the three-point line and defended Harper at the three-point line. They've contained dribble penetration. And they've done a pretty good job moving the ball on offense and getting the shot they want. The only thing they haven't done as well was that they didn't take care of the ball. And you give credit to Rutgers defense for putting him in that position. But overall, Michigan State has really executed their plan very, very well. I mean, Geo Baker looks like he twisted an ankle there. That can't be a happy feeling given what he's been through this year.
No, not great.
Just rolled it right over there, planting with that right foot.
Well, that's the last thing Rutgers wants at the end of what has been a long night. Long jumper, no good. Rutgers hasn't scored in more than 7 minutes. And Joshua Langford, I'm with you, Jay. He's starting to look like a player who's just feeling good, confident. He's looked like the old Josh Langford.
Yeah, and you obviously give credit for the really hard work that Langford's done, but I think A.J. Hogarth's got something to do with the way Michigan State's playing in this one. He's, for the most part, has handled the team really well. He's got 6 assists in this game. He's only scored 3 points, but he's not in there to score. And he's defended for the most part very well. I think they've found the long-term answer at the point guard position. And when you're more settled at point, everybody else can do their job without concern. And I think that's where Michigan State's headed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he's made 2 starts, and Michigan State's going to be 2-0 in those 2 starts. They were 0-3 in Big Ten play when he was coming off the bench. Minute and a half to go. Oscar Palmquist, a freshman from Sweden. I think he's going to be a good player. Lots of good young players who aren't playing much for Rutgers. Had it knocked out of bounds. By the way, our Wendy's Wooden Watch, you can see the expression for Ron Harper Jr. He'll have better nights than this. Came in averaging 22 a game. He's got 13 tonight, and he'll watch the last minute plus from the bench.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating night for Rutgers, but Harper Jr. has had just a fantastic year thus far, and it's not going to end anytime soon. It's just anytime there's we do the Wendy's Wooden Watch, you keep asking, well, there's so many great players around the country, but I just don't think anybody's going to take that award away from Luka Garza. There's one guy, though, that needs to be in the conversation that's not, and that's Corey Kispert at Gonzaga. Kispert has been spectacular, absolutely spectacular.
I'm going to see him on Thursday. Did you hear that Gonzaga and BYU decided to play? Both teams had COVID issues with their opponents, were scheduled to play other teams on Thursday, and literally yesterday and today decided, hey, we can pull this off. BYU's going to fly to Spokane and play the Zags on Thursday night.
I love that teams are doing that. I just think that's great. Of course, you give BYU a lot of credit for just wanting to go to Spokane and play in the Kennel. That's not an easy place to play. I don't care whether they're fans there or not. They're playing against the best offensive team in college basketball, and it's not close.
Yeah, BYU, the last team to beat the Zags. They beat them late last year in the regular season in Provo. It's a different BYU team this year, but interesting game. I figure that's one of the real tests left in the regular season for Gonzaga, and now it's just a couple days away, less than.
I think there's a very good chance. It's obviously not a great chance because this is in this year. You can't expect incredible consistency, but I think Gonzaga has a great chance to enter the NCAA tournament without a loss. And I think it'll be interesting, Dave, how many smaller conferences actually have their conference tournament. Are they gonna go through all that, or just award their automatic bid to their best team in the regular season. We'll see.
Well, and you say that too, acknowledging, I know you have and many others have, WCC, this is probably as deep as it's been in a while. WCC has good teams, but the
Really
Zags
good.
are just that good.
Yeah, I watched San Francisco did the game where they beat Virginia, and they've got really good guards. Todd Golden's done a really nice job with that program. But I just think Gonzaga is just so talented and so good offensively. They're good defensively too, but their offense is at a different level. I mean, heck, they almost hung 100 points on Virginia.
Yeah, that seems impossible.
I mean, you could play 4 halves against Virginia in 2 games and not put 100 on them.
Steven Izzo, the coach's kid, is in for Michigan State in the final minute here. This is an impressive performance by the Spartans.
Jack Hoiberg also in the ballgame. Jack Hoiberg could play at a number of Big Ten schools. He's a walk-on at Michigan State, but that guy can play. He's a really good player.
His dad could play. He can shoot. He's been an important part of this program. Rutgers gets Ohio State next. Michigan State gets Purdue at home. Chance for the Spartans to build up a little momentum. But you said it overall. Other than the turnovers, Tom Izzo's team played really, really well tonight.
Defense was outstanding, and I think it is a good first step with A.J. Hoggard at the point to what Michigan State's going to be as we go forward.
So for Tom Izzo's team, maybe they found a point guard, they found a defensive identity, and maybe a go-to guy. Aaron Henry sure looked the part tonight. For Jay Billis and our